There are unbelievable things happening in the world, but you won't be able to feel it or experience it unless you give it your attention. It won't be wrong to say you attract what you think or fear, but sometimes unimaginable things occur. I am a single mother to my daughter Lily. After the divorce, I no longer wanted to live in the same town as my ex, so I purchased a farmhouse and decided to make a living there. It was a decent neighborhood, not much noise and interference from the neighbors. Actually, we barely knew one another, but I liked it that way, peaceful and less interruptive. It had been a week precisely since we had moved there. Everything seemed to be fine, besides that one night. Lily woke me up from my deep sleep, saying she heard a strange chanting outside our window. It was during the month of summer, and all the windows were open for the air to flow through with ease. Hearing the strange noise, I got out of the bed and looked around. I couldn't see anything much, so I thought it was presumably some sort of misinterpretation. But despite trying really hard, neither Lily nor I was able to sleep. For some reason, the noise kept echoing in our ears. When I really had enough of it, I decided it would be best to check everything out by ourselves. Before leaving, I glanced at the clock. It was precisely 12:30 a.m. I was too bothered to even take notice that I was leaving the house at midnight. As Lily and I stepped out of the house, the noise began to sound clearer. Just as I was looking around, I apprehended that my daughter was out of sight. Panic flared in my eyes, and I shakingly looked around for her. But she was nowhere to be found. As I sprinted around searching for her in fright, I got closer to the chanting sound. Unknown to me, I reached an unknown spot where 4 men dressed up in dark red cloaks were firmly seated encircling a circle with a fire lit in the middle. My body felt heavy, and a nameless dread engulfed me. I literally had no clue what was happening. I sneakily got closer towards them, and that was when I noticed my daughter Lily lying flat near the fire pit inside the circle. Her eyes were closed, and the men were chanting some prayers and throwing ashes on top of my daughter. I kept staring in disbelief as my heart almost stopped beating. I then ran towards the men and began to scream about what was going on. They furiously turned around, their eyes enlarged with anger, but they didn't stop what they were doing. So without thinking anything, I walked inside the circle and began to pull my daughter. However, I was unable to even move my 9-year-old daughter. Then she proceeded to push me to the ground as her eyes turned white and then screamed, "Leave me alone," in a man's voice. Suddenly, I woke up. It was all a dream. I was completely drenched in sweat. However, before I could take a deep breath of relief thinking it was all a dream, something so sinister happened after that. I was able to hear the same chanting noise. Terror held me like a vice-like grip. I promptly turned on the lights. My daughter was no longer there. I was too frightened to even scream. I grabbed my phone and ran outside. The front door was wide open, even though Lily wasn't tall enough to open it by herself. It felt too weird. So, I ran, tracking the sound. Just then, I noticed my daughter walking clumsily all by herself. As soon as I saw her, I ran towards her and pulled her. It seemed like she was sleepwalking because her eyes were still closed. I shook her multiple times, and she finally came back to her consciousness. "What is wrong with you?" I yelled at her. But without saying anything, she pointed at a distance. "They are calling me Mom," she uttered. I carried her and looked at where she was pointing. Believe it or not, but it was the same group of men that I had seen in my dream. They were all sitting together in a circle with a fire lit in between them. Dread gnawed at my insides, and I ran away from there as soon as I could. When I reached home, I locked all the doors and windows. I was so traumatized that I couldn't sleep at all. The next morning, my daughter had a severe fever. I took her to the doctor, but nothing helped. With every passing day, her health kept deteriorating. But the worst part is, she also kept mumbling, "They are calling me Mom." After 3 days, I decided I had enough, so I took my daughter to the church. I told the priest everything, and he blessed her. It's hard for me to believe that Lily became normal the next day. I am really not the one to believe in stuff like that, but when these things happen to me for real, I had no other option left than to believe it. Finally, I put that house on sale and never returned back. Trust me, there are evil people out there. If there's good, there's definitely evil.